our body has lost its way to adapt to the environment. So putting yourself in cold is a really easy way and a fast way to teach your body to adapt, to change, right? To adapt to the environment. And by adapting to the cold, you're actually improving your health, and you're getting, this is what I like about it, by getting in the cold, I'm getting more resilient. I'm getting more, my body is just adapting, unlike everyone else.
Yeah.
Unlike most people, because they put on warm jackets, warm clothes when it's cold, and so they don't feel the cold, but they don't know. They're not one. We forgot that actually this is how humans used to live. They handled it.
Yeah, bro.
But this human today is, what can I say, soft? Yeah, it's soft.
Hey friends, welcome to this week's edition of Please Blow My Mind with me, Will Fleming. Very exciting episode today. Jason Suttie, 6 times kickboxing world champion, joins me on the podcast to talk about the power within your breath, the power inside you, and not in a kind of metaphorical way, in an actual way, in a scientific way. The power of breathing is what this episode of Please Blow My Mind is about. Jason travelled all the way to Amsterdam to meet Wim Hof. Now, many of you will have heard of Wim Hof. If you haven't heard of Wim Hof, well, you're about to, in a big way. Wim Hof believes in the mind, the body, unlocking the power within through the breath, through deep breath. And the Wim Hof method, as it's called, has gone worldwide. And Jason is one of the people in New Zealand who has learnt from Wim and now shows us, teaches us, mentors us how to do the Wim Hof method. So Jason joins me on the podcast today. Very exciting. I've been looking forward to this podcast for, well, as soon as I reached out to Jason. So shout out to my friend Tude for putting me on to Jason. Yeah, as soon as I realized that Jason was the dude, he'd studied from Wim Hof, I was in, messaging back and forward, and we set it up. So this is a podcast about breathing. This is a podcast about, how do I say this? Using what we try and stay away from to power the power. This is quite challenging to explain. So just breathing is unlocking. Going under the cold shower unlocks other things within us. This whole podcast is about unlocking what is within you right now. So I'm going to stop there. Listen to the health warnings that Jason says that with the breathing method. I think he recommends not to try it if you're pregnant or if you have seizures, but just watch, just feel. Let's feel this together. And, at the end of the day, we've got to be less vulnerable to this coronavirus. And if it's not coronavirus, it's something else. We are all vulnerable in our modern day world. And isn't it a treat to think there's things within that are built to protect us, and we need to unlock them? That is our challenge. Let's jump into the episode with Jason Suttie. Jason, thank you, brother, for joining us on the podcast. And to you watching, listening, wherever you may be right now, thank you all for blowing my mind. So, bro, I'm a weird dude. Like, I get a feeling about people when I hear about them. So my friend, shout outs to Tude, we were having barbecue pre-lockdown, and he was like, oh, who are your upcoming guests? And I'm like, I got a few ideas here and there. And he's like, have you heard about Jason? And he showed me your Instagram, and I was talking to him about the Wim Hof breathing method, right? And he's like, oh man, that sounds intense. And I'm like, well, and it's weird because I try and explain it, and it sounds like I'm trying to sell Scientology or something, because it's like everyday people. But essentially I was trying to explain the breathing. Anyways, like, I think I saw, Jason does that. And I looked on your page and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta reach out and see if we can hook this up so we can chat. But what would happen in like TV or something is they would research properly who a person is. But I get this weird sense like, that's someone I want to chat to. So I know you have a background in kind of physical and martial arts and stuff, but it's the breathing, it's the internal, it's the cold bath and stuff that really I was just so keen to pick your brains about, because it's weird. That was pre-lockdown, and I could have never thought that this is the exact time when we need to just go within. You know, we are literally trapped, but in a good way. What do we have in our control? Well, we can make ourselves cold because everyone kind of got a shower or running water. It's the human right, you know. If you have a house renting or buying, you've got water and you can make something cold. So, bro, I mean, before I kind of go too wild and wacky, what's your entryway into this whole Wim Hof world? Because many will be like, Wim who? And I'm like, to them, haven't you seen him on Joe Rogan? And he's this. Yeah. So, bro, what is your way into this world of making your body cold?
I used to go to get tattooed and sacred in Kingsland. And it was really good because those sessions, like I'd spend, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours there. 6 to 8 hours there doing my legs. And my tattooist always used to put podcasts and documentaries on. So it was a really good time for me. I enjoyed it because I was learning, my brain was growing. But I didn't understand it, but I just saw this old white guy, which was Wim Hof, and I saw him swimming in, it was all ice. I don't know where he was swimming, but he was swimming in the cold. And I thought, that guy's really tough. He's really tough mentally. I want to be like him. And I left, and then I saw Joe Rogan was talking about, he was in a podcast with Joe Rogan, and then they did this breathing. I wasn't really watching. I was in and out of my tat and then concentrating on myself and then watching. And then I saw them doing the breathing and holding the breath. And I went try to hold my breath. I held my breath for 30 seconds and I saw them. It was on 2 minutes. So when I left, I said, what's that about? And my tattooist said, you want to try and get into 2 minutes. And it was July, 1918, was it? 2018, I think it was, or 2017. It was July. It was cold. It was cold. It was winter, and he goes, you got to get in. You got to have 2 minutes or 2 or 3 minutes. So in about 3 days, I got myself up to 3 minute cold showers. So I was doing 3 minutes, and I was like, yeah. So I did that for about 2 weeks, and then I started Googling Wim Hof, and then I thought, oh wow, this guy's 26 Guinness Book of Records. You know, he climbed to the death zone, 7,500 meters at Mount Everest with no oxygen and just his shorts and boots. He swam. He had the world record for swimming under ice, and then I thought, whoa, so I started. Studying him. So 2 weeks I've been doing the 3 minute cold shower that I knew nothing about him. I just thought mentally he's tough. Yeah. I'd like to strengthen my own brain. So I started doing the cold showers. I thought, this is really good for, there's an easy way for us fighters to strengthen our brain. And then he had an app, and it's free now on Google stores. You can get on that free, and he takes you through the breathing and gets you into these push-ups on the exhale and cold therapy. And then so I got on that for a few weeks, and then I bought a 10-week online course. And then 10-week online course, I did 2 10-week online courses. There's 2 of them. And then there was, I think it was 2018 maybe, there was, or 19, there was, he was doing a workshop, Wim Hof was doing a workshop in Sydney. So I'd been into it for about 6 months now, and I got my whole gym into it. Most of my fighters, I got them into it, and they were, I got them. I told them, no one's out to use the warm shower in the gym. You guys use your warm shower at home. There's an easy way for me to help you strengthen your brain on your own. Wow. And then, so when he had this workshop in Sydney, so about 4 of us from the gym, we went over. We stayed a few nights, went to this 5-hour workshop, and and it wasn't Wim Hof, so I'd done the 2 10-week online courses, and I'd been accepted to do the advanced course in Amsterdam, but I was like, it's quite a lot of money, a lot of time. It's only 2 days, but it's a lot of time away from my family. I've got 4 kids, and then There was a scientist, and he was just saying, what's happening with you, you know, this is what goes on, this is what's happening to your body. And I went home and I went, for my family, for my friends, for my gym, I have to follow this through to the end. And I just started, I got on trying to get onto the advanced course in Amsterdam that I'd been accepted to about 3 months earlier. And I emailed them and they go, no, sorry, Jason, it's full. Oh. So I had about 3 different emails from them. I emailed every single one of them every day for 7 days. It was 7 days. Every single day they kept going, no, sorry, Jason, no, sorry, we're adamant. We told you had plenty of time. It's full, it's full, it's full. On the 7th day, so I'd emailed them probably 21 times, maybe more. And they were like, okay, Jason, we're going to open up a space for you.
Whoa.
And you can come. You know, I went and I did the advance, and then I went later on in the year to do, maybe it was, I can't even remember. And then I went and did the instructor's course in Poland, and that was me, man. Like this is my new fight, and it's just, for me, it is like a fight without fighting, because with so many benefits, instead of getting smashed up, I'm getting built up. But I do like the mental part of it, which is, you know, getting in the cold. It's a challenge every day.
It's perfect. You know, there's a lot of Pacifica people watching our show together, and this idea that all you need is you. All you need is a bit of cold, and you know, it's funny because you'll save power too, because it's less hot showers. You know, if you add in a bit of fasting, you know, food fasting, you'll save on a bit of food, and again, you'll get all these benefits. So for someone who's hearing this for the first time and just kind of keeping up at its most kind of basic level, I guess we'll talk about 2 things: the cold therapy and then the breathing. And if we talk about the cold therapy, I heard you on a clip, and it's weird because I found a couple clips of you online and skipped through, and the bit I stopped at, you said something like, when I hop into the cold, it ignites my white blood cells to rapidly go out and look. It thinks there's danger. And I was like, oh, stop that video, because I've got to talk to you about that. So when we hop in the cold, when we train ourselves to be in the cold, what's happening inside, bro?
I know this question well, because I actually got it wrong in the exam in the instructor's course, so I never forget this. So what happens is your body freaks out and doesn't know what's attacking it, so it sends out our white blood cells and B lymphocytes, which are our fighting disease cells. Okay, they're just going to fight off any antigens, any infections. So it doesn't know what's happening, so it just sends out all these white blood cells. But this is what I got wrong. I thought it only went for a couple of hours, but these white blood cells, so for 2 minutes in the ice, these white blood cells overload. They keep flowing for 6 days after that 2 minutes.
Whoa.
So you've got an overload in white blood cells, our fighting disease blood cells, for 6 days after that 2 minutes. I mean, I get in most days of the week, but really you've only got to get in once a week for 2 minutes. And it's got to be, I mean, the colder the better, so you freak your body out. But your brain is going to get to a stage where it says, "Oh yeah, no, I put myself here." So then you get a whole resetting of your nervous system, because you know, you get fight or flight because you're freaking out. Well, you're not freaking out. Well, your breathing's going fast. So you know, our brain is related. Thinks of how our breathing goes, right? So if I'm nervous, if I'm freaking out, you know, so then your breathing tells your brain what you're thinking, and then so when you get in the ice, you so it thinks, what's going on? So you know, the stress comes out, and then when stress comes out, adrenaline comes out, and then when you start breathing normally, because we put ourselves there on purpose, right? Then all the happy hormones, so you get a full resetting of your hormonal system as well, of your nervous system. But mainly, it's white blood cells.
Wow.
So, you know, same as me, like many others, you just think, like we were talking earlier today, stay away from the cold. Yeah. You're going to get, well, yeah, you are. You die if you stand there too long. But if, you know what, he's found and he's been tested on, and he's, you know, so what he loves is, you know, he got teased for so long, because he's been doing it. I mean, he's 60-something years old, and he started at 17 in the ice. So a lot of people, he just felt something was right with it. But he got teased and he was made fun of a lot, and, you know, police used to ask him, you know, he's been told, like, what are you doing? Like, are you crazy? But then he got tested, and then they found out that, well, this is happening. So he's very proud of sharing this method, and it's simple, man. Just get in the cold. It's got to be under 18 degrees for those white blood cells to come out, for a reaction to happen physiologically. But colder the better, if you can understand, because the colder, your body's going to get a shock, right?
So I went out after kind of listening to a couple clips of you, and this is classic, like everyone on the internet, right? I heard 10 seconds of an hour interview, and I'm like, sweet, I got it. And I went outside and I found the sprinkler that I haven't used in years and hung it up on the thing, and I waited till the morning, and I was out there and I was looking, and I was like, man, this is a ridiculous idea, and my neighbors are going to look at me. But I turned that thing on and I was like, nah, you got to get under there. And then just before I went under the cold shower, I thought, I don't know, I'm sure you have to breathe. So I just thought, oh, I'll see what happens. And I jumped under this water. I mean, I think I put my leg under first and my arm, and I'd seen another clip online where the dude was saying, like, just rub yourself as you're going in. And as I hopped in, my breathing started taking in these, you know, like you can imagine hopping in and people, you know, hop in the pool and then I realized, oh my gosh, maybe this is the breathing happening on its own, that my body is saying, more oxygen, dude, get it in. And I was standing there just kind of buzzing out because, well, for a couple reasons. One, that I was only in that exact moment. You know, like I'm a bit notorious for being a bit mean to words like mindfulness and meditation in general, because for me that feels like love. It's hard. The harder you try and define it, the harder it is. It just disappears, you know. It's a feeling, and that's how it feels to me. But when I was under there, I was like, man, I am nowhere else but here in this cold, trying to get into this, trying to find a way to smile about it, you know. And it was tough, and I tried it again this morning. So just quickly on that point, would a hose tap, you know, just your hose in the morning, would that be under -18, or am I tricking myself?
Yeah. I think in the morning now it will be. You know, I think would be on about 18 to 20 degrees, I would say. I have no idea, to be honest.
But I guess the idea is a little bit like placebo, right? You're out there doing something different. You're going to be benefiting just because you've taken those deep breaths in. And you mentioned before, you know, for people who are saying, oh man, this is all a bit weird with this breathing stuff. You know what's weird is we're hyperventilating under stress and we're not even knowing it. So we're sitting at our desk, you know, stewing about something and doing those short breaths, and freaking out during the day, and then wondering why we're so panicked. And I reckon it's partly to do with we're just not getting enough oxygen. You know, we're actually not breathing, bro.
And you know, like when you do get in the cold, you do breathe deeper. You do get more oxygen. So it is good for your cells. It is good for your brains. Not good to do it too long. You know, you don't want to be breathing like that for too long. You'll probably pass out. So
the cold, the breathing, which of those things is boosting our immune, bro?
Oh, they're both. So it's a boost to your immune system because you've got an overload of white blood cells for 6 days. So that's your immune system pumping, right? Breathing deeper. You know, when you breathe deeper, you're getting a little bit more energy. So when you come out, you're quite awake. But what also happens is because you've put yourself in the cold shower, you're getting a whole resetting of your hormonal system. Like, so if cortisol comes out, adrenaline comes out. And when adrenaline comes out, all of that, you know, that's chasing glucose for your body, and then all the happy hormones come out. So there's your mental and physical immunity has just gone up, right? Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Without. But the reason I can say it is science is because he got tested, right? He got tested. I haven't been tested. But what I can say is I've lived it in July. This July will be 3 years, and it's probably the healthiest that I've, and the longest that I haven't been sick. I got sick about, I can't remember, the October, November last year. and I do these workshops. And so for about for about two years since I came across this, and I'd only done cold showers and ice baths, I was telling everyone, man, I haven't been sick the longest in my 40s that I haven't been to the doctor. And then we had a show, we had a kickboxing show in Palmy, and then I was dressed in a suit, and it was a cold night, and all the fighters were drinking outside, and I stood outside with them all night, and I got sick. I got really sick. I got sick. And I couldn't handle it with those young fellas, and they all had jackets. They had a firearm. I got sick. So for 2 years, I hadn't been to the doctor. So I went to the doctor at the end of last year. It might have been September, October, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, we haven't seen you for a while." I said, "Oh, I feel so bad. I've been telling everyone how long I haven't been to the doctor." But anyway, I went to the doctor. I've been once in nearly 3 years, and all I've done is cold. Like, that's totally opposite to what we believe in, right?
Yeah, bro, it is.
If you do it right, like 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, cold as possible. And it's what you do afterwards. You can't stay in there for. I mean, you die, you get hypothermia, you die. But if you 2 to 3 minutes, and if you're comfortable, 2 to 3, not more than 5. Dress warm afterwards. If you dress dry and warm after, 100% you will not get sick, and you will just get stronger. You'll get immune system, and it's scientifically proven,
Yeah, and it's. I know it sounds correct to humans, it sounds weird that we take tablets, that we take pills. It makes, it sounds more right that was the way you built it. And like, I kind of think in these scenarios, you have to listen to your body too, eh? Like, you shiver when you're cold, and it's a signal, because what I was doing this morning when I was out there, and it was cold, like I feel my feet were cold, and normally I'd put socks on at that time, so I was standing on the grass, and I was breathing, but when I finished, man, it wasn't like, I think if I stayed out there and got the chill from the wind, but it was, I was in a towel, I was in some warm clothes, and I thought to myself, if I'm cold, I'll do some burpees or something, and I'll warm up. And I think there's nothing you can't listen to that's happening. And it's the same, I think, with a lot of things that we outsource to science, and I'm a fan of science, don't get me wrong. I don't think that we shouldn't go to the doctor and look for, all of the brilliance that medicine can offer, but it's like a symbiotic relationship. We've got to play a party too, and I think those primal things of breathing and understanding temperature, like sauna as well, that must be the opposite to it, where you're dealing with the heat and your body is enacting other things going on. Just like when you run, the sweat starts coming, and you get those endorphins from that. So I think we just seem to value, I don't know what it is. I don't know why we've forgotten about the cold. That seems like an obvious one. That
well, would you agree that I know for my lifetime, and except for, by accident, but I've been able to control the temperature my whole life. And even more so in my adult life, because when I was younger, when I was younger, I probably had to adapt a little bit more to my environment, because my family wasn't really rich. So if we didn't have the fire on, you just had to put clothes on, so you get cold. But right now, you don't get cold, you don't get hot, right?
Yeah.
Because when it's hot, you turn on the aircon. When it's cold, you turn on the heater, right? So we're living in temperature all year round, no matter what it is. So our body has lost its way to adapt to the environment. So putting yourself in cold is a really easy way and a fast way to teach your body to adapt, to change, right? To adapt to the environment. And by adapting to the cold, you're actually improving your health, and you're getting, this is what I like about it, by getting in the cold, I'm getting more resilient. I'm getting more, my body is just adapting, unlike everyone else.
Yeah.
Unlike most people, because they put warm jackets, warm clothes when it's cold, and so they don't feel the cold, but they don't know. They're not one. We forgot that actually this is how humans used to live. They handled it.
Yeah, bro.
But this human today is, what can I say, soft? Yeah, it's soft.
Well, we're vulnerable. Hey, we're realizing, particularly in this Western world, we've made ourselves so soft, kind of physically, mentally, that we're exactly at risk from this corona. And what I reckon is interesting is we're talking about how will you adapt to the future, but we're talking about it from a job point of view, not from a physical point of view. I think it's better to say, if I can't see how I'm going to get off and make money, at least something I can control is making myself more resilient as a body. Life ain't perfect, and it's about finding those little things that work for you, you know, and there is no one-stop shop. We're all different, eh? You know, some of us are tall, some of us are short, some of us are born with high blood pressure, and all these other things. So I look for constants, and I'm like, what is it about us? And I'm like, well, we all need to breathe, you know, and we can do that. Today we can take in more oxygen. So if I go on that point, bro, like at its simplest form, what is it with the breathing that, like, everyone's like, bro, I'm already breathing, but we're talking about something different, eh?
Most people don't know, and what I didn't know before this is it is a waste product, but we need carbon dioxide to breathe. So when our carbon dioxide goes, but it goes up, down, and there's a line over here. When the carbon dioxide goes down there, when you breathe it out, when you come in, when the carbon dioxide comes up again, that's carbon dioxide is our stimulus to breathe. Okay, so, but when you're pumping out like that, you're pumping out a whole lot of carbon dioxide, and you're overdosing on oxygen, which is really good. So which our oxygen, if we checked ourselves, and I've done it many times where I've got a oximeter, and I check it, and I'm on about 96, 97, and then it gets up to 100. Sometimes it only gets up to 99. That's what normal. So yeah, you do get full of oxygen to 100, but because your carbon dioxide goes so low, so we breathe in, we'll do a minute 45 of this, and then when the time buzzer goes, we go and hold. So, you know, like I said, when I watched that video, I breathed in and had a full diaphragm of air, and I was holding my breath, and I could only hold my breath for 30 seconds with a full of oxygen, right? So with this Wim Hof method, we pump up with oxygen because we're kind of hyperventilating, but the carbon dioxide is going to. So when you breathe out and you hold your breath, you'd be amazed. You'll be amazed to see how long you can hold your breath.
Wow.
And what it is because the carbon dioxide has gone so low. But when the carbon dioxide goes so low, so this is the other beautiful thing that I love about the health of it. The health part of it is when your carbon dioxide goes low, so carbon dioxide is acidic as well. So when your carbon dioxide goes out so far and we up the oxygen, and he's been tested, he's getting, which means I can't say it because I haven't been tested, but he's human just like us, right?
Yeah.
So you would say that the same thing is happening to us, right?
Well, and also, bro, you're human just like us watching, right? So this is the thing, is that we are just talking on a human level. Yeah. Everyone
can access what he's doing. He just led the way. So he's got more oxygen. You got more oxygen right down to the mitochondria, which are our powerhouses. 20% more oxygen to his brain. But when your carbon dioxide gets out that much, your acid gets down. Right now, I breathe for about 25 minutes because I've got this meditation music stuff that I listen to, and it takes 25 minutes, and I just breathe for the whole 25 minutes. But to change your alkalinity from within with breathing, it's powerful. And so you're boosting your immune system there because you're getting to an alkaline state. So for me, if I don't have, so when I used to have my freezer at home downstairs, and I want to get the buzz and I want to get the resetting. You get a reset, you get like a full wake up. You get from the hose, right, and you're quite clear,
dude, and awake, alive.
And with the breathing as well, it is a whole resetting to your nervous system too, because there's a breath hold, and so your body freaks out, and again, cortisol comes out because you're holding your breath, and then adrenaline comes out, and then you start breathing again, and then all the happy hormones. So you come out and you're quite clear. But with this, with your alkalinity getting risen, I've heard podcasts that say, but that's probably only temporary. And well, I believe Wim and the scientists that I said that sold me the Wim Hof method, not Wim Hof, it was a scientist. So, and Wim said, it lasts about 5 years. So I've tested myself many times, like I said, but I've tested myself again later, 4.5 hours, and I was still right up there. I was still in the greens. Yeah. So for me, I can tell you factually that this breathing of 15 minutes, because you got to hold your breath as well. It lasts. You put yourself in an alkaline state for 4 hours, 4.5 hours. I can say that as a fact. And and that's so along with the cold. Why I have felt really healthy and haven't got sick except for that time I told you about. That's nearly 3 years. Is the breathing? Wow. It's because I'm balanced pH every single day, every single morning.
So this is something that everyone can do, and again, this is like the lockdown is a perfect reason to do that, right? We can be practicing breathing, and I guess the thing is you don't have to be awesome on day one, and it's just about kind of monitoring yourself and feeling yourself too, right? Like I imagine there's a bit of a head rush of taking in these deep breaths, and you probably won't be able to process what that means in the moment.
So I do this breathing, and then when I was taking my kids to school, and then I'd be like, I got to get the kids. I've got 3 babies that got to get to school. And then my wife would come out and she'd like, you're taking small steps, and my breathing's like this. So I'd be breathing correctly 15 minutes ago, and then my kids put me into straight away. But from this breathing correctly that I'll show you, from this breathing correctly in the morning, sometimes I'm driving throughout the day, and I'm just like, yeah, that's right. And I'll just take 2-3 breaths. I've just given myself some more oxygen. I've just slowed my mental state down, right? I mean, how many times do you do that? You forget to do it, but because I'm doing it every day in the morning, every day in the morning, it has taught myself to breathe correctly sometimes throughout the rest of the day. Yeah,
bro. Yeah, no, I'm picking that up. Like, again, I don't know if it's just me wanting it to be more than it needs to be. And actually, I'm cool if my mind is thinking that. I'll trick myself, however, as long as I get it done. And what happened is I said to myself, I've had this cold shower. I'm in the moment. I was taking these deep breaths. I've probably got more oxygen than yesterday. And I thought to myself, maybe I'll be less grumpy around the family. And because, like part of my critique from my family is that, man, you're so awesome to all your podcast guests, but when we see you, the fat guts out and you're swearing, but to your guests, you're always polite and you use, the bigger words and stuff like that. And I'm like, I listen to it because I really want to have the same me everywhere. And I don't quite know how to do that. I know how to do that when I'm working because there's money to make you professional. But at home, it's like love, but love is funny because it doesn't always feel like love. And so I thought, man, I got to find some ways to almost like equalize myself so that I can be, like you said, take that breath top up and or resist to say something. Because, sometimes I've found myself, and many people will relate, you're like having a little argument or something, and you're actually thinking about yourself like, why am I saying it? Why am I arguing? It's ridiculous to just continue trying to win what? Because we all lose. And I thought maybe there's something in breathing where if I get to this point, anyone in my family can say, Dad, you need to breathe, and maybe I take that permission just to like, just to take a couple deep ones in, and it actually might be that microsecond where I'm not jumping back, which just gives me enough to pull away from the moment. Again, I think that's what they're saying in psychology, but it's hard because I don't get it. But I get it when someone says, if you say, time to breathe, hey, big guy, time to breathe. you know, and that could be just that top up that many of us could use, you know. Maybe it's the freaking out about work at the moment or what's happening and starting to spiral, and if we just had our little mindset just to say, hey, time to breathe, go outside, you know, take a couple in.
We all know that we need oxygen to breathe, we need oxygen to function, we need oxygen to work better physically, right? But how many of us do we breathe? How many times a day do you take a full breath and really give yourselves oxygen, as much oxygen as we can? Because we're breathing 60% of our capacity most of the day, so we're not giving our body its full potential of oxygen, right? So, I mean, I don't do it all day either, but I have such a good feeling in my soul about sharing this, because it's not a gimmick. It's not like, you don't ever have to come back to me again. You don't have to come and refill up or refuel your brain. It's just like, I'm just going to teach you how to breathe on your own at home, that you're going to do every day to raise your immunity, to raise your overall vitality, to get healthier just by breathing and getting in the cold. You're actually going to save money and you're going to get healthier. So it feels really good for me to share this.
Yeah, and it feels really good for me to hear it. What does the family think about the breathing? Are they all on board with you and this? Oh
yeah, they love it. They love it. It's my new thing. It's my fight, and it doesn't. And I don't get injured. I don't lose any brain cells. But it's my new bounce in my step. Training twice a day for a fight for 6 to 12 weeks. Now I just do it every day by just simply breathing and jumping in the ice bath. And my wife feels good about it too. You know, she knows I'm sharing a good thing. And you know, in these times too, I'm gonna do a live on my page, and I'm just gonna spend 10 minutes and take people through the breathing, because, you know, like I said a few weeks ago, you know, honestly, a real easy way to boost your immune system is just jump in the ice. If you haven't got the time to sit and listen to me, and I'll take you through the breathing, just jump in the ice. Just jump in the ice. You're going to get a boost to your immune system by getting an overload of white blood cells, and you're going to feel great afterwards, you know. It's a real simple way, and that we now know, you know, just get in the ice for 2 minutes. If you don't do anything else, that's a simple way to boost your immune system. Just make sure that you're dry and warm afterwards, because it's afterwards when you're sick or not. Yeah.
And also, I think what's cool is, even if you don't get it completely right, like the breathing, you know, you are getting some benefits just by getting it in, you know. And like, I kind of am a weird dude. Like, I think so deep about things sometimes, and I'm like, even the fact that I was standing on the grass this morning waiting to have my shower, I was like, there's some bacterias there that I was getting that others weren't, you know. And maybe that helps the immune system too. The fact that I was out there and I had to hear that little tui or bird, and I'm getting that too. Instead of just being cooped up in our little, how we think about our homes as we're locked in, they're like, we kind of like have the opportunity to unlock other things, eh? And I think this is what I'm exploring with you, is like, yes, be cautious, but you know, it's like, it is that same caution that got us here. We're vulnerable because we are too cautious, and just listen to yourself. And it will be hard, because many of us have been told not to, you know, take the tablet, do the thing. And I do believe that is the right way. And I don't believe there's a one-stop shop for everything, but I definitely think there's a mixture of whatever we're talking about, which is this human in us, bro. All right, man. Well, look, you've given heaps of time tonight, and I just appreciate it, because it's been awesome to connect. I know my mates that were like, oh, you know, who follow fights, you know, and I'm like the last person who ever got into UFC. I like the social side of it, but I go to the barbecues because it's yummy food. But I'm talking, you know, a couple of them are like, oh, you know what? How come you're you're not into it? I'm like, I don't know. It was the same with Lord of the Rings. I was the last one into it, and I'm slowly getting into it and seeing, you know, Israel and that starting to dominate. But when I said, yeah, man, he's coming on the show, they were like, oh, wow, cool. And they were like, what are you going to talk about? And I'm like, oh, breathing. And they're like, what? To ask him about the fight when, you know, and I'm like, well, look, maybe when all the world comes back, we'll have a barbecue or something, and you can ask him. But we're going to talk about ice baths and all of that stuff. So I just appreciate you being open to, you know, entertaining the idea of coming on and talking, because, you know, it's a risk, right? We don't know where these conversations go, but I do believe that if we go into it with the idea of being vulnerable again, that we get a certain immunity from coming out the other side, which is we connected and people got to see and hear us talk about it. So I guess finally, bro, well, two things. One is, where can people jump on and follow you if they want to connect with you, just to follow your journey, or in a business sense? You know, there's a lot of businesses out there trying to recalibrate what it means to be a business. And I think one of the ways they can do this is by, let's go within for a bit, and they can get that training, right?
Yep. Well, man, I was just on my my Instagram page is Jason Suttie, Instagram or Facebook, and then I've got a website, Jason Suttie, www.jasonsuttie.co.nz.
Awesome.
Yeah, just my name, and that'll be then once I can, I will start doing workshops again, teaching the method, and with you know, I just teach them how to breathe correctly, how to breathe Wim Hof style, and I just show them. I show them some facts, some science behind it to get them hooked, like it got me hooked, to put it into their daily routine. And then there'll be my gym there on my page as well. But yeah, just jasonsuttie.co.nz.
Awesome.
Will, if you can go through the 3 cycles, I'm gonna text you the cycles. So you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and hold.
Cool.
Hold on the exhale.
Yeah. And
hold for as long as you can. When you need to breathe in, hold for 10 seconds, and then start again. 3 cycles like that.
Awesome, brother.
And you watch how you felt today, you're going to feel even more amazing.
I already feel amazing, and I don't know what's going on here, and I don't really care if, in my mind, it's real or not, because it's I'm happy, you know. And I think people, even just listening to us chat today, they'll be feeling happy too, because it's like, cool, there's hope for the world, because I'm gonna like get under that cold shower tomorrow and I'm gonna beat it. Hey, because that's the thing, you beat it. You beat life, and we are trying to beat life every day. I think we forget about it. We think as life is beautiful, and it is, but man, it's cruel and it hammers you, and you got to hammer back. And I think that's a fight worth fighting, you know. And maybe we misinterpret, you know, like I was mentioning UFC before, we love it because we get to see physical specimens that could potentially be us. But if you want to fight against something, fight to life, fight for life, and yeah, bro, and it's a fight worth fighting. So thanks again, brother, and until next time, I look forward to chatting next time, bro.
Okay, bro, thank you, man.